Hi, this is Pastor Jonathan Moore at Outreach Ministries. Look at the horizon. What is God going to do for you today? God sometimes, makes changes in our life. Sometimes God will give us new jobs, new employment opportunities. Sometimes God will bring us out of town to show us things. What is God doing in your life? Write in the comments below, what is God doing for you? God can do many things. You got to be willing to be moldable, me shapeable. Sometimes there's periods of your life where maybe you might have a break from a relationship for a couple months and something new might come in the horizon in the springtime or the summer. What is God's will for you in your life? You got to read the Bible. Read the Bible from Genesis to Revelation and see what God's going to do. God could do many things, but you got to trust in Him. Trust in Him to open up doors for you. You just got to open up the Word of God, and start reading scriptures. It says in the Bible, speak to the mountain and it shall be moved. Where in the scriptures does it say that? Write in the comments below. Sometimes I encourage my friends, to read scriptures, and you can, sometimes people challenge you with scriptures and stuff like that, and that's good. That's good to have a little debate and do some Bible reading, and teach others, like-minded Christians. Just sometimes go for a coffee date with a friend or something and talk about God and invite them to church, and tell them the sinner's prayer, and what's the sinner's prayer? You can be said in many different ways, but the main thing is just close your eyes, say, God, please forgive me of my sins and come into my heart again. What does that say? And when you're closing your eyes, what are you doing there? You're just saying to God that I respect you, and I'm praying to you, and I'm saying that prayer, and I'm asking for God to make my life new. I'm asking God to forgive me of all my sins. I encourage my friends to say, look towards God, look towards the horizon. There's many different things going on in this world, not to be doom and gloom. People talk about wars and rumors of wars and all this stuff. It talks about the Bible too, but people talk about these things, and sometimes people kind of fear monger. But what does it say? What does it say in the Bible? That we're not supposed to live in fear. We're not supposed to stress about tomorrow. We're not supposed to stress about today, the next hour, the next 50 minutes. We're not supposed to stress about anything. We're supposed to just trust in God that everything is going to be okay. That if you're going through a troubled time, that there's a bright shiny day on the horizon. God will make our lives anew if we trust in Him. This is Pastor Jonathan Moore, and I just want to encourage you today to trust in God. What is He going to do for you today? He's going to open up new doors and opportunities for you, new jobs, new relationship, mortgage, house. Maybe He's going to move you on another side of the country. Maybe He's going to move you, to another country. Maybe He's going to move you somewhere else. It just depends. God can open up doors of opportunities for you if you trust in God. What is God going to do for you today? Trust in God. Trust in God. He will open up new doors of opportunities. Just look towards the horizon. God will make changes in your life if you trust in Him. Anyways, Pastor Jonathan Moore, Outreach Ministries, I encourage you today, look towards God. What is He going to do for you today? Just start in the Bible. Just start reading from Genesis to Revelation. Trust in God. Just start reading 2 chapters today. God will make a way if you trust in Him. Anyways, Pastor Jonathan Moore, Outreach Ministries. Have a great day. God bless.